folks, I think this is official. My very first return guest on the podcast. What an honor for you, Wyatt.
I feel special. You didn't even tell me that when we were warming up for this.
I can't tell you everything.
This is an honor.
How about that?
Wyatt Wheeler. What do I get for this?
You will get the parting gift that I give all my guests, a pat on the back.
That's what I wanted.
By patsontheback.com. How are you doing, sir?
I am good. Busy as heck with the crossover season, football, basketball, district high school football. It's that time of year, but it's better. I like this more than the summer where there's nothing to do. So bring it on. Plenty of overtime these next few weeks.
There you go. Well, Wyatt is the sports department at the Springfield News-Leader. As you mentioned, very, very busy. We're now getting into the point where the fall sports are winding down at Missouri State and on the high school scene in Springfield. And we're switching gears to the winter sports, specifically the reason why I have Wyatt on to talk a little Missouri State basketball. And this year, poised to be a pretty special one. If folks have seen some of the stories that Wyatt has put out, and even some of the national stories. The Bears are actually getting a little bit more attention this year because of what the potential of this squad is. And we'll talk about that as well. But let's just start because Wyatt was at Media Day. Wyatt was at Missouri State's Media Day. You've been around both the Bears and the Lady Bears, and we'll talk about them too, because what a special season they had going into the Sweet 16 last year. But let's just start with, you saw the first exhibition game against WashU for the Bears. Just last night. Before we jump into what the prospects are for individuals, things like that, just your first impression. This is the first time the Bears were seen in public playing against somebody else, other competition. What did you think about the Bears and WashU?
Last night it started out slow. Everybody went in. They've seen the Missouri Valley results from all over the league right now, and you see Loyola go down to Indianapolis, and you see another GLVC school take Evansville to overtime in a kind of bonkers game. There's kind of, I don't know if it was a nervous energy going into an exhibition game against a D3 school, but it was kind of a weird feeling. But especially after halftime, because MSU started out slow. There was a surprise injury that kind of heard whispers throughout the day that it happened, and then it came out to be a thing with Gage Prim. So there's a lot to take in that first half, and then they come out slow. Defense kind of all over the place, leaving guys open. Offense isn't hitting all their shots. They're playing a little more ISO ball and just trying to. I saw somebody say it kind of felt like MSU was playing an all-star game with its brand new roster, and that is kind of a good. It's kind of a good explanation for it. They were the better team. It was obvious that they could have done anything down low at any point during the game, but they came out slow. It was only a 2-point lead at the half, but they came back in the second half. They were a lot more energized. Fed Tulio da Silva the ball down low the rest of the game. He scored 16 of his 20 in the second half, and it was an exhibition game. I'm not going to panic or tell somebody else to panic and think they're not going to be any good because of how they played an exhibition game. You see the potential that pretty much every single player on the team has, and it's going to take a little bit for all this new collective talent to add up to be really good, like they're predicted to be. But we got time now, and non-conference probably non-conference, I'm not too high on how they're going to perform in this non-conference, just because they got to figure things out, and they have so many tough opponents right now that they're not going to be perfect right out the gate when they go play at Xavier, or they play potentially Florida in the second round of the Charleston Classic, and play LSU in LSU the next week. So I think last night it was nice to see that there's a lot of room to improve. It's not a finished product yet on either side of the court. It's going to take a little bit, but the only thing that really matters is that they get it going right after Christmas, that they're looking like a team that can be really, really good in the Missouri Valley Conference right after Christmas, when Valley play begins on, I believe, the 31st. So it's there's a room to improve, but it's exhibition. That's what I keep telling people. There's guys that you're going to like. There's guys that stood out. They got a bit to go, but it's not a bad thing at this time of year. It was October 30th when they played that game, and you're trying to play in March. So just get going at the right time.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking about. So I went through, and I don't dig into schedules and rosters as much anymore. Not working in college athletics. I'm just a regular old fan. And I was thinking about this the other day, talking with a buddy, that there's so many new pieces to this team, and people are saying, well, the schedule, wow, if they could get some of these significant wins and set themselves up for a at large, that'd be great. But you got to keep in mind that these pieces have to find their way and fit together. And that's not going to be easy when you're looking at a Xavier or Miami or, whoever it is. So, you'd hope they can get it together early and right off the bat, but the chances of that happening, never say never, obviously. I mean, I hope it does happen sooner rather than later, but I was thinking maybe this team is more focused and put together for the Valley Hall, and, winning 3 games in St. Louis to get to the NCAA tournament than it is, locked in on, November or December. Not to say that they're not going to be locked in, because I'm sure Dana will have them prepared. But playing those teams will, obviously set yourself well to play good competition. But you never know. I don't know. I was trying to
you have 3 new
expectations.
You have 3 new guys in the starting lineup last night, including a new point guard. You probably expected to have Gage Prim in that starting lineup 2 days ago, before they found out about his injury, just the day before the exhibition game. The Gage Prim injury, whatever it is right now, because Dana's kind of being a little secretive, because I don't know if he really knows what it is yet. That's a big guy that was going to move Tulio over for him to be able to do more at a position that better suits him. And then Gage would have been that dominant 5 that Dana's been wanting ever since he's gotten here. There's just a lot that they need that's going to, and Dana said yesterday, he said, we need to get Gage healthy by Christmas. So we need to get him healthy by the Valley season beginning. I don't know if he necessarily cares about the wins and losses right now.
Right.
It's going to be like you said, it's just going to be tough. There's a lot of new faces. There's 2 freshmen who played big minutes yesterday, 3 new guys, the starting lineup. And I mean, Lamont was was a top scorer at West Virginia. Tyreek Dixon sat out for a little bit, but he was he got some recognition when he was at Middle Tennessee. Josh Hall hit a game winner in an NCAA tournament game. So there's a lot of new names, new faces they were probably, they're kind of praised a little bit from where they were coming from. And I keep going back any other year, a lot of these guys, if you only get one of these guys in years past, instead of getting like 5 or 6 of them in one off season. Right. So so there's a lot to come together. There's a lot of excitement around all of them, but it's gonna take a little bit of time, and people are gonna have to be patient.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, there's expectation. And I think everyone's expectations are on a higher level because of the pieces, because of the talent. We've seen that now. You've obviously written a lot about, what this team could look like as the season starts. But now the national landscape, we've got guys like Matt Norlander writing about it. And he's got 2 articles I know you've seen and shared online. And I wanted to get your interpretations of them. Let's start with the easy one first. He did his overall ranking. He ranks every single Division I team in the country. And the Bears were the highest ranked team in all the Valley, number 69. Nice. And and that doesn't come to any surprise to me. They were the preseason pick. So, it is what it is. Your initial thoughts? I thought his ranking, and I should go and pull it up here as we're talking. I'm a little bit high on Northern Iowa. I don't know if anyone's giving them enough credit for where they'll be. I think they'll be, the next best team to Missouri State. If I can play fanboy, I think they'll be, 2, Bradley 3. After that, I don't know. I mean, people are saying Drake is underrated. Take your pick, but I'm sort of bullish on Northern Iowa being the next, taking another step forward. But your thoughts? I mean, I think I probably agree. The coaches seem to at media day from what you talked to them about the Bears too, right?
Yeah, the other coaches like the Bears. They've seen the talent that Dana's brought in. They just feel like that's something they're starting to be really good here at MSU. I'm with you, Northern Iowa. I like the guard play, AJ Green especially. And you'll hear coaches all the time in the Valley. They'll say it's a guard league, and you look at the players who were in the Valley Championship last year. It was Darryl Brown and AJ Green, who were probably the 2 best point guards in the league last year. So that's kind of where it trends, and that's kind of where you want Tyreek Dixon to be at the end of the year. Among those names, I'd probably go Northern Iowa, Bradley, and the injuries with Loyola right now are kind of concerning. I agree that MSU is probably number 1 just because of what they have on paper alone. And that's kind of what you go off of in these preseason rankings. But then you look at the coaches who have been there, done that before. Jacobson's definitely the guy that sticks out in the league. And then Bradley's coming off a conference championship and tournament championship. And Porter Moser will probably figure something out over there. He's a Final Four coach and somebody that a lot of Division I teams have been after the recent off seasons. So it's going to be close. It'll probably be closer than a lot of people think. I know I just put out an article on the hot takes that you contributed to. You putting in there. You putting in there saying that the Bears are going to go to the Elite Eight, but people are in there still saying they're going to get 24 wins, 25 wins. The Valley season is going to be tougher than you think. That's just the way it is, and probably beat up on each other a little bit. But yeah, we'll see. It's kind of hard to look out right now, especially with some of the injuries. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So the other one just came out earlier this week, and Norlander. So before I even jump into that, I should say when he does these rankings about every single team, and this other one that I'm going to bring up, he does the United States of college basketball, and he goes state by state, ranks the top team, or ranks each Division I team in each state. I think people should keep in mind this guy's doing this on a national landscape. So he knows a lot about the top 25, the top 50, top 100 to an extent. And his job is sort of to take a big global overall look. So, and I'm saying this because I'm prefacing I'm trying to use how would I put it? A straightforward, walk the line, I can see both sides of the story kind of thing when it comes to his Missouri rankings.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are some folks that he even said that he got some comments, some feedback from a couple fan bases. One of those fan bases in the state of Missouri that were not happy with his state rankings. But keep in mind, I don't know how much detail Matt Norlander knows about Missouri State this year, but he knows enough where he ranked them first and he ranked Mizzou second. And of course, all the Mizzou faithful are completely up in arms, which is okay because that's what fans do. And I'll put it this way. As I told someone else I had a DM conversation with today about the rankings. I said, the potential for Missouri State this year is extremely high. And that's what I'm sure these rankings are on. This could be a pretty special team. Like, we're looking at the opportunity to go into the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1999. That's how special of a team this could be. And I think Norlander knows that. I don't know if every Mizzou fan knows that. I don't know how many Missouri State fans know what Mizzou has this year. I know I don't. So you have to take it with a grain of salt of he's looking at every single Division I team, every single conference in each state, and he's just ranking them. So he's just doing paper and I'm sure he's probably doing quick research and just sort of, going through the motions, and maybe he's not going through the motions. I don't know, but he's doing it. It's a great effort. It's a great thing because we're talking about it. That's the point, right? We're talking about it. So with all that said, so his rankings for the state of Missouri: Missouri State number 1, Mizzou 2, St. Louis 3, and actually surprising to me, he's got UMKC 4 and Southeast Missouri State 5. No one's going to talk about SEMO and UMKC being ranked 4 and 5. That actually is a surprise to me because I thought SEMO was trending up, but maybe they're not there yet. I follow a little bit. Keith Pickens, former Missouri State Bear, assistant coach. Assistant coach at SEMO. So, but he says this is what Norlander writes on his website on CBSSports.com. Dana Ford's Bears are the class of the Valley this season. Of course, they were the preseason pick. Get in on the ground floor as opposed to catching up that Sunday morning when the Valley's conference title game airs on CBS, meaning the Arch Madness final. Names to know: senior shooting guard Keandre Cook, senior power forward Tulio Da Silva. He actually spells it Da Silva, actually.
Shows you how much he knows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Senior forward Lamont West, wing Josh Hall. 9 players were transfers, including West from West Virginia and Hall from Nevada. Rare is the year when the Missouri Tigers aren't the best team in this state. The 2019-20 season spell looks like an exception. So there you go. Again, a global look. He knows about names and transfers. We know that Tulio Da Silva is eyeing an NBA career. We know that he was an exceptional player. We are hoping that these transfers are exceptional players. Again, me playing devil's advocate, seeing both sides of the story. I'm talking a lot. I'll let you talk about what you saw. Maybe some of the feedback that you got when you shared this on Twitter.
I got some angry tweets. I just shared it out. I'm like, I didn't write this. Why are you tweeting at me getting all mad? Like, I know I'm the beat reporter for MSU, but I'm kind of with you. I don't know too much about Mizzou. I study.
And it's not your job to know anything about Mizzou.
It's not my job to know about Mizzou. I'm the Missouri State beat reporter, and I cover some of the Valley as well. So it's I'm not too knowledgeable with Mizzou. I know they had top 10 recruiting class just a few years ago when they got
they play in the SEC. Apparently the SEC is trending up. I think Mizzou was picked like 13th or 12th.
They're picked in the bottom half of the SEC, I believe. So I think you see a lot of things there where MSU's being hyped up as much. They probably have a better tournament chance, I would say.
I think based on the fact of, again, we can call it like we see it, the Valley being what it is. And then that's part of the opportunity that Missouri State has. It's been a one bid. It is what it is. The Bears have the talent. Again, however the non-conference goes, but hey, a weekend in St. Louis could pretty much be the season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how it's been, especially since Wichita State left. It's I remember the Illinois State had that one had that one good year where they probably maybe should have made it in. I'm not too. I don't remember that one too well, but they were right there, Paris Lee and all them. But
that was the 16-17 year, I think, and Wichita State and Illinois State tied for the regular season. Mm-hmm. Both were 17.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Wichita State won the Arch Madness championship game. Throttled them.
Yeah.
State. So I'm guessing that didn't do them any favors of getting in that large. So, which tends to happen to Valley teams. If a terrible showing on a scale like that or a game like that doesn't tend to do any favor. And it's another reason to hold a mid-major team back of, well, they don't like a quality team because they, laid an egg on national TV where we see it.
Years are starting to blend together for me. I'm getting to be an old man, but
don't worry. I've got my 8 years of Valley knowledge have sort of blended together in some ways too. But I can piece together some things.
I grew up an Illinois State fan because I was a ball boy for them, and I remember being a heartbroken little kid when Illinois State was left out because I wanted Osiris Eldridge's teams to go on and make it. So, that's kind of the way the Valley's been. You get whooped by Creighton or whoever in the championship game, and you're not going to make the tournament.
That's not how it always used to be, though.
Yeah.
That's certainly not how it was in 2006. So
that's how it was when I cared when I was a little kid, crying on Selection Sunday. But odds are people that's another question I get quite often. Do you think the Valley's a 2-bid league? And
probably, do you think there's a chance this year?
I don't think the schedules for the other teams are good enough. I think Missouri State's going to have the non-conference schedules, especially. Right. I think Missouri State's going to have to be the one to play well in non-conference play and be that at-large team, because I went through the other teams' non-conference schedules, and they're not very good. I heard that Dana's not really happy with how other teams scheduled this for this season either. It's just teams didn't go out and build themselves a schedule that can challenge them and challenge for an at-large bid, to the point where Missouri State is going to have to be the team that wins a few of these non-conference games, that has a good regular season and loses closely in a conference championship. It's just kind of a lot to add up. So it's unlikely, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I being behind that curtain, so to speak, and I've heard the coaches talk about it and some of their reasoning, and I get it. And I also, from the conference perspective, I get it. It's a tough thing to figure out, and there's no easy science. And then when you're a Valley team and you're Indiana State and you want to play Butler all the time, and you get Butler in your home court and you beat Butler doesn't want to play you anymore. And, yeah. When you're,
I sat down with Kyle Motes the other day, and got a story coming out on Sunday on kind of the excitement about the team. And Kyle's like, with scheduling for Missouri State, Kyle said he told Dana, I want you to go schedule the most difficult schedule you can get, because with the new net system, losing to a team like LSU isn't going to hurt you, but winning against a team like LSU is really going to help you. So that's kind of the way Missouri State's looking at it. And Kyle says, he's like, we're not going to go get a quadrant 1 team and bring them to JQH Arena. It's just, they're not going to agree to it. It's not going to happen. So we're just going to keep scheduling difficult. And I guess the other teams in the Valley didn't have quite that philosophy that MSU did this year.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I get it. I see both sides of not being political here of, coach talk or, whatever administrator talk, but it's not easy. And why would a Mizzou or you name it, we'll play Missouri State. What do they have the game have to lose? And I get it. Sometimes you just got to go on the road and do it. And at the same time, you don't want to have all those road games either. And then you get the fans up in arms. Well, schedule's terrible. We don't have any home games.
Yeah.
You're juggling a lot of different things in action there.
Yeah, there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of things behind the scenes we don't really know about either. It just doesn't make sense for a team to. And I know that some people are frustrated with the amount of night games or non-conference home games, especially these first few weeks. There's a good amount, but then they go to Charleston, they go to Xavier, they go to LSU, and they're gone for quite a bit. So I know there's some frustration here, but it's just kind of the way they have to do it if you want them to have that difficult schedule.
Right.
And this is one of the better schedules they've had in years, especially since I've been here, and I've been around this team for 5 years now. So this is
long.
Yeah, standard, man. It's when I was.
I'm thinking back to you and good Lord,
McChesney. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, because I did 2 years of covering them at the Standard, and now this is my 3rd year. So I'm getting to be a Valley old guy now. It's kind of weird. I'm gonna be Dave Reynolds before you know it.
We keep talking about the schedule, so let's run through this real fast. We just had the exhibition against WashU. The Bears will open up the regular season in Springfield against Little Rock Tuesday, November 5th. Alabama State, November 10th. That's a home game. They will still be at home against Cleveland State, November 12th. They will travel to Cincinnati, take on Xavier, November 15th. The Charleston Classic, the Bears will take on Miami, November 21st in Charleston, South Carolina. The 22nd of November, they will play either Florida or St. Joe's. They will have another game on the 24th as well. Louisiana to take on LSU on November 29th. Back in Springfield for Murray State, December 3rd. Mississippi Valley State on December 6th. Arkansas State in Springfield, December 11th. Back on the road to take on VCU, December 15th. Tulsa to take on Oral Roberts, December 21st. And then the Valley Grind begins on December 31st. Starts out with Evansville and Springfield, January 4th, a trip to Chicago that I am eyeing to go to on Saturday, January 4th. At Illinois State on January 7th. We will have 2 straight in Springfield, Northern Iowa, January 11th, Bradley, January 15th. A trip to Evansville, January 18th. Springfield for Valpo on January 23rd. Drake and Northern Iowa swing on the 26th and 29th. That could be an interesting swing.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at.
Yeah, of course, Northern Iowa. I just said they're my sleeper team. They could be good, but you're going to Northern Iowa, and Drake. Much improved last year.
Yeah, that's the thing about Drake. Everybody,
I'm not sure what to expect this year, but
they're picked to finish last year, right? And then they ended up at the
regular season champs.
They tied the regular season champs. Yeah, they tied for first.
Yeah.
And,
so we'll see.
I don't know.
That those 2 games, it's January 26th at Drake, January 29th at UNI. That could be interesting. They'll be back home on February 1st to take on Indiana State, and February 5th hosting Illinois State in February. Who knows? We don't have Jared Dixon this year, but maybe they won't need as much drama to win the game. A road game at SIU to take on new head coach for the Salukis, Brian Mullins, on February 8th. Drake will come to Springfield for the return engagement on February 12th. The Bears will be at Terre Haute for Indiana State on February 16th. At Bradley on February 19th. Loyola comes to Springfield on February 22nd. The Bears will go to Valpo February 25th, and they will close out the regular season on Saturday, February 29th, when Southern Illinois comes to Springfield. So there you go. To me, significantly, like I said, that Drake Northern Iowa swing.
Oh yeah, that's
games could be
first thing that I thought when I looked at that schedule was like, those are the 2 right there.
Yeah. So of course, all the games are on TV somewhere, and that's a great thing about being in the Valley. The ESPN agreement, the regional Fox Sports Midwest or CBS Sports Network. So there's no excuse to not be able to see any of the games except the exhibitions, because exhibitions aren't on. But I assume the games of the Charleston Classic, they're on ESPN2, ESPNU, depending on the matchup. But yeah, we shall see. I mean, like I said, Xavier, Miami, you win a game or 2 in Charleston. I saw someone had the hot take that the Bears will win
Yeah, that was one of them. Oh, yeah. That's a tough one.
That might be more attainable than my Elite Eight.
Yeah, that probably is. Florida early on is just that's a tough one because they're supposed to, they're top 10 team this year, and
hey, Loyola did it. The Final Four.
Yeah,
they beat Florida when Florida was ranked 5th.
I do remember that. Yeah, that was a good one.
You never know. You never know.
They're gonna do it. Yeah, is that yes? Yeah. Say it.
I picked them to go to the Elite Eight. What I mean,
just like with the Charleston Classic, ain't nothing then.
I mean, if they gotta give me something at some point, right? So I don't know. All right, so here's what we're gonna do now. I have pulled out 4, and I may pull another one out of thin air here. 4 significant stats that I'm interested in and interested in your feedback in. I've got the stat from last year, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on if the Bears will go over or under a designated stat of that same category that I've set. So, for example, last year, this is the first category. The Bears scored their team points per game. In 2018, they scored 68.9 points per game. In 2019, do you think the Bears will go over or under 65.5 points per game?
Yeah, I think they probably will. They will
go over or under?
Over. I think they'll go over. I think they're going to play at a faster pace this year. Get rid of that 3-man weave. We didn't see that once last night at the exhibition game, and that really excited me because we're going to actually see some fast basketball now, and that's kind of what we want to see.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to play with a better pace this year. I think more possessions, more scoring. So why not go over?
And last year, injuries happened, defections happened. Players leaving the team. So they literally modified on the fly, and it worked. And they over exceeded expectations. So Wyatt's going over. I am also going over 65.5 points per game for the Bears. 3-point shooting. This is something I'm really curious about because I heard the talk about certain players that have a 3-point shooting ability that, are Springfield native players that could really aid the team. I'm setting you up here, obviously. Last year, the Bears shot 35% from 3. Wyatt, in 2019-2020, do you think the Bears as a team will shoot over or under 33.5% for the season?
I'm going to go slightly over, probably. I think I feel like with the more possessions they're going to get, they're going to take a few more bad shots as well from deep. Just watching Lamont West, that's kind of what's fresh in my mind right now. Lamont, he can hit a lot of those threes and look pretty good with a hand in his face, or he can take some really bad ones and look pretty bad. I think that's something we're going to have to see improve and hopefully get settled down throughout the season. Last night, I think we're going to see more for sure. Ritter's a little banged up with his shoulder right now.
Okay.
That injury kind of concerns me a little bit.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I was setting you up for Ritter, and
it just concerns me a little bit because he separated his shoulder over the summer, had to rehab that. It takes 2 to 3 weeks to rehab that. And then it popped out again here recently to where he's sitting out again. Apparently, if it was a Valley game, he would have played. But this is shoulders are just, it sounds like they come out.
Shooter.
Yeah, they come in and come out. So that's something that really makes me nervous. I think last night we saw Jamonte Black, one of the Rockbridge freshmen. I think he played a little bit of the Jared Ritter role that they want to have him do this year. And Jamonte looked pretty good. He was hustling on defense. He has a pretty shot. I thought going into the year that he would probably be a redshirt candidate, but we're just going to have to see at that point now. He got 14 minutes last night. And then you're going to see Isaiah Mosley. He didn't have the best of games last night. He was a little off, 1 for 7, 0 for 2 from deep. And that's a player that Dana talks about, unlike he talk in a way he doesn't talk about any of his other players. This is a guy, Isaiah, Dana will say this kid could be a top 10. It would surprise me if he's not a top 10 scorer in school history. And that's coming from Dana's mouth and not mine. So that's usually Dana's trying to pump the brakes on some of that excitement. But Isaiah's the one he's going to pump up a lot. So that's a scorer that he was the first player off the bench yesterday. So that's somebody that MSU really likes. I could see him. He's a freshman of the year candidate going into the year. He's a pretty good one. He was probably the best freshman they landed. But those are shooters that they have. Tyreek Dixon took 3 threes last night. I think they're going to try to settle him down a little more. He was really aggressive, 2 for 11. Tried driving a lot, forced a lot of free throws. Keandre shoots threes. They're trying to get Tulio to shoot some threes because that's what the NBA scouts said that he needed to improve on. Lamont West's going to take those threes. Josh Hall looked pretty good from deep yesterday, and I pretty much just named half the roster. So I think they're going to take more.
Everybody's going to take a 3 apparently, except for you.
Yeah, they're going to take a lot more this year than maybe you saw last year, and I think you see the percentage stay around the same, but you're going to see more. Maybe go up a little bit. That's a tough one to predict right now, but with the style of play they're going to play, I think you're going to see a lot more of them, and I think they have a few more guys who can hit them. We'll see.
All right. Well, I am going to go over, and I'm calling my shot that they're going to shoot 38%.
38. It's a Valley Championship, right? That's on their way to the Elite Eight in your eyes. Look at that.
Hey, if I'm going to be a homer, might as well go all in. All right. Tulio da Silva, you mentioned him in our last little tidbit there. Last year, he averaged 14.3 points per game. Over, under for Tulio, I'm setting it at 15.5. Will you go over or under 15.5 points per game for Tulio da Silva?
I think I'll go under there. I'll go as far as to say I don't know if he'll be the best player on the team at the end of the year.
Oh.
And that's
who would you give that distinction to if you could?
Oh, they have a few guys that are a candidate right now, but I think especially with the over under, I think I'll go under because I think they have a few more guys who are going to need the score.
Yeah.
Lamont and Keandre is still going to need the score. Josh Hall is going to score. Once they get Gage Prim back, that's a guy who's going to touch the ball every play, and there's not very many guys in the Valley who's at his size and strength. He's Krutwig. He's not a Krutwig because he's a lot more. He's built,
but he's got the size to actually.
But he's got the size to actually go up against him. So I think those guys are going to steal some points away.
And that's a good thing because you don't have to have a workhorse to score 15, 18, 20 points a game on a regular basis.
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing for the Bears, and if Tulio da Silva is not your best player on the team, it's not a bad thing because it just means you have other guys that are good too. I could definitely see Gage Prim once he gets healthy being that guy. I think he's going to get a lot of rebounds, and he's going to bully some guys down low. If Lamont can be a little better on a defensive end and show a little more effort, make smarter decisions, and there's other guys who can hit shots, so he's able to distribute that a little more. He doesn't have to force up the tough one because a guy like Josh Hall could be standing there with the better matchup. So Tulio's going to be good. He's going to be really good like he was last year, but there's some other guys that'll challenge him for that for best player on the team recognition.
Gotcha. I will also go under the 15.5. I actually think he's going to just be somewhere around where he was last year, maybe 14 and a half. But we'll see. But I agree that I was trying to bait you into him getting more, but you didn't take that one bit. So you should know better. Last year, the Bears were 16-16 overall. Of course, that was actually better than expected based on the preseason poll. And Dana was late in the conversation for Coach of the Year discussion because no one expected the Bears to finish where they did. They were actually 10-8 in the conference race. Like I said, in 2018, they were 16-16, and in league play, they won 10 games. Wyatt Wheeler in 2019, will the Bears win more than 18 and a half games or less?
I'm going to go under 16 games.
No, you're not.
I know. Okay.
Your balance got them winning the regular season.
I think they'll be around. I think, what did you say, 18?
I said it at 18 and a half.
18, 19, 20. Just there. I think
20 is a thing, but I mean, let's call it like we see it here. If they don't, and here's my reasoning for setting it at that number.
Yeah.
Because we always hear the 20 wins. Oh, they're a 20-win team. That's like the quote unquote magic number. And 20 doesn't hold as much cachet as it used to in college basketball. But at the same time, this team, any team in the Valley, and I'm not just talking about the Bears, I'm talking the Valley as a whole. I can see any of them coming out of the gate and, not quite finding their groove to start out and struggling to figure it out. And they figure it out once we get to the new year. And they're a different team. Injuries notwithstanding, if that happens, and that's where they pile up, or that's where the wins, pile up there. So who knows? I mean, I'm not saying that someone's going to lose every single non-conference game and then, go, 14-4 in league play and they win the Valley. That would be, I don't know if that's ever happened. I have to go back and look at an old media guide, but that'd be a unique situation. So, could the Bears do something like that? I don't know, but just curious. So my original thought was, what if I set it at 22 and a half? I'm going back to years when they were 22-11 or, 24 and something, and that we thought was an NCAA team and they're not for whatever reason. But I'm like, maybe we'll set a little bit lower and see where we go with it. But
I think they go over. They were 10-8 last year in the Valley. That's going to be better. I think they'll be better if they're healthy, in my opinion. And then it's just a matter of how many of these non-conference games you can win. So if you count them up, Little Rock, Alabama State, Cleveland State, who knows about the Charleston Classic, so maybe give them one from the Charleston Classic. So 4, Murray State's not what it was last year, and it's a home game. So 5, Mississippi Valley State 6, Arkansas State 7. So there's 7 games, Earl Roberts 8. So then there's a road game at VCU. That'll probably be tough for the Bears. And you hope they're starting to get a little bit better at that time.
Right.
So
I think that actually might be the most key non-conference game is at VC. It's a road game. That's a quality opponent from a quality league that would benefit the Bears. If they're playing, Bear basketball at that time, could benefit them in the long run.
It'll be good to see where they're at because VCU's right now touted as a top 25 opponent.
Yeah.
So 8 there, and I assume they're better than 10-8 in the Valley. So that's 18, at least 19 wins. Boom, maybe 20.
What do you think the Valley champion has in wins this year? We've had 12-6, 14-4. Of course, Wichita State notwithstanding with 18s and O's, and Wichita State, Illinois State 17-1. How many wins do you think takes care of a Valley regular season championship for whoever it is?
Yeah, I mean, last year was just so weird that it was just a strange year. So you think that you look at the teams at the bottom of the league. I think Evansville will be better. I think you want MSU to go get those 2 wins against Loyola since you were able to last year. Illinois State's not at what it was, and you split with them, so you're going to want to go 2-0 this year against them. Northern Iowa, that's Well, that's one you at least want to split this year. MSU's had so much trouble with them in the past. Bradley's one of the preseason favorites. Valpo's not going to be very good. Indiana State won't be very good. Southern Illinois might be the worst of all of them. So you're going to want. There's games that the top teams at the conference are going to say these are games you must win. You got to win the two against that should win. You'll probably lose a game or two that you should win. So I'd say around 13-14 range, right? Wouldn't you say?
My gut has me at 14.
Yeah.
I think 14-4 can do it.
Just 18 wins it. That's all you got to do. Yeah, the boom. When 18, you win, no doubt.
I would love for you to go to media availability and ask Dana and see his reaction. 18 does it. So what do you think? Boom. Let's see what he says.
I would do it. That guy walked into the press conference last night and he's like, "Hey, Wyatt, nice costume." I wasn't wearing a costume. That guy thinks the second year in a row he's come in on Halloween and messed with me. Last year he ran in a Freddy mask and a little cape and he just started screaming and it scared it scared every single one of us.
I will say this. So he's come out to several alumni events here in St. Louis, not just in Springfield. And he's phenomenal. So we had an event at Top Golf, which is awesome. And he came out and he hung out the entire night and was just talking. And there, if you have a chance to get to meet the head, not just Dana, but also Coach Mox as well. And I was going
to she's cool. Yeah.
Switch gears to the Lady Bears here, but they are both so personable, approachable, and you have a question, they will, they've got no problem talking, and it's just a delight to have them. They are rock stars. I mean, I've heard people say if he ran for mayor of Springfield right now, he would win overwhelmingly because he's working the town and he's getting support. And not to mention, he's actually recruited a great bunch of guys, and they just get it done on the court. It's the total package. But he has literally been a treat, and he's been, like I said, he's come to several events. The one that stands out, we had a golf tournament up here. And I'm like, Coach, if you don't, if you have something to do, phone calls to make, let me know. We can relieve you, get someone else. He goes, no, hang out. I'm here all day. He was on a putting green helping with a scholarship foundation fundraiser that we were doing. And from 9 o'clock till 2 o'clock, I'm like, this had no obligation to do it whatsoever, but he did it and stuck around. So he is awesome.
I think he knows that too. I think he knows how good he is in public right now. He can just come in and mess with me. That's all I'm thinking about. He knows he can mess with me, and he knows he's got everybody's back. Everybody's got his back. That's the thing.
But I feel the same way about Coach Mox as well. I've had the chance to interact with her, and man, I feel like high energy, passionate. So I'm pumped for them too. I know that the Lady Bears are a little bit miffed at the preseason poll and a team coming off the Sweet 16 where you've just lost one player. But again, not to do the coach speak or whatever, but I know how some folks have looked at it and says, oh, they lost their coach. And, I'm not saying that. Well, maybe I am saying maybe the reason those votes were because they're saying an unproven coach that has been an assistant, a high level assistant, mind you, but man, you got everybody back. You got everyone except for one player back still. Now, they were picked second, so it's not like there's a whole lot to sort of complain about. And I'm by no means complaining about a preseason poll because, quite honestly, it doesn't really matter. They just got to go out and play the games. But not taking away from Drake's. I know that team is loaded once again, and their coach is back in Jenny Baranchik. But it's still an exciting time to be able to root for the Lady Bears and keep them on the radar too. But this year they got a pretty decent schedule. They've got, like I said, a roster full of players back. I'm a huge Jasmine Franklin fan.
Oh yeah.
I think at the end of her Missouri State career will be pretty special. I just love the way she plays the game. Just globally, schedule, players, returning, what they've got on the plate, your interpretation of the 2019-2020 Lady Bears.
They're going to be really good. I've really enjoyed my time around Coach Mox so far. We haven't seen her after a loss yet, so that's what we were kind of joking around.
Changing, right?
We were kind of joking around after the exhibition win the other night that I was like, oh, that was a fun press conference. What's she going to do when she loses? Because I can see her being really tough on the girls. But they love her so far. It's been a ton of fun. And that's the thing. I'm really excited to cover more Lady Bears myself this year. Yeah. Just because there's so much personality on that team. And it's a big group of girls that you just want to root for. They're good people. You see them after games hugging all the Lady Bear fans, and it's just a really cool atmosphere with them, and it's something special in Springfield. But yeah, I mean the whole roster's back, but Danielle, of course. Danielle, that's the heart and soul of last year's team. They don't do what they did last year if they don't have somebody as tough as Danielle getting there. I mean, she just had a refuse to lose mentality was the cool thing about her. It's gonna be tough to see. It's gonna be interesting to see who replaces that kind of mentality, because that kind of made up for it. That's kind of what led to the Lady Bears run, was because they were tough as hell in every single game. They played their tails off. DePaul in the Iowa State game, man, that was the hardest I've ever seen a team play, and I think that a lot had to do with the personality of their point guard. So you're missing that, but it's going to take a few players on that team to replace that. And I'm not saying that they can't, because I'm with you. I think,
yeah.
I think Jasmine Franklin is going to be one of the best players in the school's history by the time she's done here. I mean, the numbers are already trending that way. She's going to be better than Jackie Stiles.
Oh, wow.
I'm kidding. I can't do that.
Are you writing a Lady Bears hot take column and you're just putting yourself right out there? Wow.
I can't do that. I just wanted to see your reaction, but
you shocked me. I mean, I'm a huge fan of hers, but that's a pretty special time there.
No, that was a hot one, but no, I do. Woo. Nobody's Jackie, but the Jasmine's going to be a really special one for the Lady Bears. I mean, the rebounds, the way she is down low. I think she has a little bit of that fighter's mentality that Danielle had. If she could keep it under control instead of getting mad, if she could just feed that into energy into the girls, I think they hopefully they can feed off of that and be used in a good way. The other night they looked faster. They played with more tempo, and it fit them pretty well too. I mean, Alexa Willard had the ball in 3 seconds, was already hitting down a wide open jumper off the tip. So it was literally 3 seconds. So nice. There's a lot to like there. You see Emily Gardner knocking down a pair of 3-pointers during the game, and she's only taken that many in her entire career, didn't attempt one last year. So she's got a lot of players playing different ways. It seems like they're going to play a little bit bigger this year, going with Emily and Jasmine on the court at the same time to start out. But I could see why voters would go with Drake out the gate. They got the Valley, the two-time reigning Valley Player of the Year. Becca Hittner, redhead, shout out. But she's really good. But I don't think the thing you want to do right now, if you're a voter, is tick off these Lady Bears. I think they're going to use that, and it was the Lady Bears beating. It was the Lady Bears that beat them 20. Whooped them in the Valley Championship and beat them on the road during their Iowa trip last year. It's going to be a good year for the Lady Bears. the personality there. They're hungry still. It'll be a fun year.
Yeah. Some highlights of their schedule. The Lady Bears, November 5th, their second. Actually, that's their opener. They've already played one exhibition game. They have another. As we record here on October 31st, they have an exhibition game November 1st, but they open up at number 23 Minnesota on November 5th. The Lady Bears are in the preseason in IT. They open up against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, second round against either Boise State or Portland State. There is a third round in the tournament if they make it that far, or the championship if they make it that far. They have UMKC, which is now known as Kansas City. They've rebranded themselves. That they will be in Springfield. Wichita State will visit Springfield December 4th. Mizzou in Springfield December 15th. Gonzaga, which is a pretty solid program, December 20th in Spokane, Washington. In the Valley slate, Drake will visit on Friday, January 10th. Northern Iowa that same weekend. Of course, the Valley on the women's side, and women's sports plays those travel partners, so those swing games. So you'll have Drake and UNI the weekend of January 10 and January 12. The Lady Bears will go to UNI and Drake Friday, February 7th and Sunday, February 9 at Drake. They will close the regular season March 7th at home against Loyola, the NBC tournament, March 12 through 15 in Quad Cities, Moline, Illinois. Should be interesting. It could be fun, and it appears that it's a 2-horse race between Drake and the Lady Bears. So we'll see how that pans out. That's a nice little rivalry there that goes back to actually when I was a student and Jackie Stiles was there. Boy, there was a time when the women's tournament was on campus sites, and it would rotate years between actually Springfield and Des Moines. And who would win in Springfield? Drake would win in Springfield. Who would win in Des Moines? Oh, man. The Lady Bears would win in Des Moines. So it was like that, where these two teams had the hotbeds that have great fan support, and they still do. Both of those programs have great fan support to support women's basketball. But it was always interesting that those two teams had a rivalry when it came to the postseason and the Valley tournament when it was on those campus sites. That's the way it sort of went. So maybe we're back to those days of having that rivalry back, and hopefully that can continue. So Wyatt, we've gone almost an hour. I appreciate your time, sir. Let the folks know how they can sort of follow your wonderful content and your tweets and your own Wyatt Wheeler podcast and Scribbly Bear artwork.
Oh, yeah.
Give them all the info they need to know on how they can read your content online.
Oh man, I got a ton of it now. Just you listen it right there. I get the place to start where you can know everything's coming out. The second everything's up, I have it on my Twitter account. That's Wyatt Wheeler. That's WYATT WHEELER _NL. News-leader.com. We got every story that I write goes there. I got my podcast that I do that I put in some stories, put in my newsletter. It's the Wyatt Wheeler podcast, so it's an easy Google for you. And then the new Bears Beat newsletter, which is something I'm having a lot of fun with, and we've gotten tremendous feedback on. It's free. All you got to do is sign up, and we'll shoot you an email every Tuesday with exclusive MSU contents and my Microsoft Paint drawings and a whole bunch of sarcasm and bashing on the football team. But and
the views of Wyatt in that newsletter are not necessarily those of the News-Leader.
Thank God is what they tell me, because it's because I got some views. I got somebody texted me and it's like, hey, you need to start writing about your opinions on food, dinosaurs. Just start throwing it all in there. Like maybe that'll be a summer thing. Christmas music. Oh, we're getting to that season. Oh, I tell you, it starts tomorrow.
I was at a. Speaking of high school sports, and you cover the high school scene down there in Springfield, I was at a district volleyball match just the other day. And what song did I hear over the PA?
They played Mariah Carey.
They played Mariah Carey.
Oh, man.
This is before Halloween.
There's bad Mariah Carey after Thanksgiving, and then there's bad Mariah Carey before Halloween. It's even worse now. The one thing I did not miss about covering games at arenas was the amount of Imagine Dragons, and that's back. I'm sitting there, and the lightning and the thunder's back, and Make Me a Believer, and Radioactive, all of it. They play all of it. No, it doesn't get them pumped up because they have headphones on trying not to listen to it is the thing. Nobody wants to listen to it. I'm telling you, I don't like Imagine Dragons. They're the modern day Nickelback.
The musical views of Wyatt Wheeler. I knew I'd get something. I knew you'd go on a rant at some point. You can get more of that in the Wyatt Wheeler podcast, where he goes solo, folks. I guess every once in a while, you get Blaine or someone there. But you've done a good job mixing in I appreciate that in the podcast. I've got to tell you that when you mix in some of the sound bites, like what you did with Media Day, I thought that was cool. So keep that good work.
Nobody wants to listen to me all the time.
I'm not sure I had you on either. I should have just,
Blaine's gone. I don't know where he is. I need to catch up with him, actually. I don't know where he is.
He's on Twitter is where he is.
He's on Twitter talking about the Chiefs in some way. Don't even get me started on NFL football right now. You do not want me to go there.
For those that do not know, Wyatt is a Chicago Bears fan, and I'll just leave it at that. I have shared a DM within our DMs. I've shared a number of memes and images that I found funny privately only to Wyatt because of certain aspects of the Chicago Bears.
Oh, there's a Monday rants for my coworkers they get every Monday right now when they keep losing. I just walk in, cuss up a storm, and then everybody's a Chief fan. They're all like, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes is the best." It's like, I hate you. I hate you. I hate the Chicago Bears. I hate Mitch Trubisky. And then when they win on Sunday, I'll be right back on the bandwagon.
There you go. There you go. That's Wyatt Wheeler, folks. Sir, I really appreciate your time. I hope you heard the kind words that Mr. Steven Herzog had to say about you in what was actually my last podcast back in like June. So he's
I heard it.
And then we're like, he's not listening and his ears aren't burning because we don't want to give him too much of an ego.
The only thing he needs to start speaking up is my paycheck, is when he starts giving me a raise. Because that's what that's what I want.
Wyatt Wheeler, I appreciate your time, sir.
Appreciate you, Derek.